Your attention, please. The time is 8:47. Our ceremony will begin in 13 minutes. Graduates, please find your seats. Family members, please take your last pictures and find your seats. Thank you. Your attention, please. May I please have your attention? Graduates, please find your places. The time is 9:50. Our ceremony will begin promptly in 10 minutes. Families, we encourage you to please find your seats so that the ceremony may start on time. Thank you.
Good morning, and welcome to this glorious celebration. I am Noel Wilkin, and I serve as our university as Provost and Executive Vice Chancellor for Academic Affairs. It is my great pleasure to introduce the 17th Chancellor of the University of Mississippi. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Jeffrey S. Vitter.
Good morning. Oh, this is going to be a long, fun day, so we got to build up our energy, and we're going to start again. So let me welcome you. Good morning. Welcome to this historic, beautiful grove and to the pinnacle of our academic year, the day we recognize the success of our students, their families, our faculty, and their staff. Today is a day to be enjoyed and remembered, a happy day for all of us, especially for the parents and others who have been paying tuition all this time. You know, it's such a beautiful sight from this vantage point. I wish you all could see all the happy, excited faces in the audience, but it's just not practical. You'd have to all come on stage in order to do that, and I think as a substitute, what I'm going to do instead is just take a panoramic photo of all of you all. So would you please smile and remain smiling? Let me just check that everything came out. I think you had your eyes closed there, but we're good. Taking this photo is a tradition now I've had every year since coming to Ole Miss, so you can look for this photo on social media on my Twitter and Facebook accounts later today. I'd also like to welcome any guests who are still standing, and you're invited to fill in the available seats behind the students over here on my right. Please make yourself available to sit down if you need a seat. The first Ole Miss students graduated 167 years ago when the first diplomas were awarded in 1851. And during this ceremony, we continue the worthy tradition of recognizing achievement. Lacey Nicole Heineman, who will receive a Bachelor of Music degree in our ceremonies today, will lead us as we sing our national anthem. Will you please stand?
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watch were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets ring clear, the bombs bursting in air gave proof through the night that our flag
Thank you, Lacey. And I want to thank also our faculty musicians over on the side, Dr. John Schuslin and Dr. Stanley Friedman on trumpet, and Dr. Jason Derrick, organist. Let's please give them a round of applause. We welcome the families and friends of the graduates on campus, and we give thanks for this beautiful day. Many of you have come from great distances to see your sons, daughters, spouses, relatives, or friends receive diplomas, and we know our graduates are grateful for your support and encouragement. Graduates, it is our tradition for you to stand and express appreciation to those who have loved, encouraged, and supported you during your years at Ole Miss. Please stand. The men and women of our faculty have committed their lives to teaching, research, and service. They have taught, challenged, nurtured, and inspired our graduates while helping them prepare for the future. They have also established friendships that will continue for life. Will the faculty please stand and let us express our appreciation to you. Members of the Board of Trustees of the State Institutions of Higher Learning are appointed by the Governor, confirmed by the Senate, and serve 9-year terms. We are grateful for their unwavering dedication to higher education in Mississippi, and today we are pleased to have Mr. Shane Hooper, the newly appointed President of the IHL Board of Trustees, Dr. Ford Dye, and Ms. Ann Lamar to represent our governing board and join us on our platform party. Let's give them a round of applause. An essential component of our university is our health science campus in Jackson. The University of Mississippi Medical Center, the only academic medical center in the state of Mississippi, houses 6 of our schools, including medicine, dentistry, nursing, health-related professions, the Graduate School in Health Sciences, and Population Health, as well as sharing a 7th in pharmacy. Leading that campus is Vice Chancellor for Health Affairs and Dean of the School of Medicine, Dr. Luann Woodward. Let's give her a round of applause. I am now pleased to welcome Provost Noel Wilkin back to the podium.
Thank you, Chancellor Vitter. I am pleased to introduce the distinguished and dedicated platform party who lead the university and join us today to commend our graduates. As I introduce you, please stand and remain standing. I ask that the audience please hold your applause until all are introduced. Ms. Charlotte Parks, Vice Chancellor for Development. Mr. Ross Bjork, Vice Chancellor for Intercollegiate Athletics. Mr. Larry Sparks, Vice Chancellor for Administration and Finance. Dr. Brandy Hepner-LeBanc, Vice Chancellor for Student Affairs and Associate Professor for Higher Education. Dr. Josh Gladden, Interim Vice Chancellor for Research and Sponsored Programs and Associate Professor of Physics and Astronomy. Dr. Katrina Caldwell, Vice Chancellor for Diversity and Community Engagement. Dr. Donna Strum, Associate Provost, Professor of Pharmacy Administration, and Research Professor in the Research Institute of Pharmaceutical Sciences. Dr. Rich Forget, Associate Provost and Professor of Political Science. Dr. Don Cole, Assistant Provost and Associate Professor of Mathematics. Dr. Wendell Weekly, President of the University of Mississippi Foundation. Mr. Perry Sansing, Interim General Counsel and Special Assistant to the Chancellor for Governmental Affairs. Dr. Douglas Sullivan Gonzalez, Dean of the Sally McDonald Barksdale Honors College and Professor of History. Professor Cecilia Botero, Dean of the University Libraries. Please join me in congratulating these platform party members. Our student leaders joining us on the platform today are Mr. Dion Kevin, Associate Student Body President for the current academic year, Mr. Christopher Brandt, Graduate Student Council President for the current academic year. The remainder of our platform party will be introduced as they come forward to play a role in this morning's ceremony. Please show your appreciation to these students for their leadership over the past year. Last evening, the graduate faculty hooded their doctoral student graduates in a separate special ceremony. Will these students please stand to be recognized? Thank you. Each year, as part of our honors convocation, the Elsie Hood Outstanding Teacher Award is presented to a member of our faculty. This year, Dr. Ann Monroe, Assistant Dean, Director of Assessment, and Associate Professor of Teacher Education, was the recipient of this singular honor. Dr. Monroe, will you please stand to be recognized? At this time, it is my pleasure to introduce Dr. Brandy Hepner-LeBanc, Vice Chancellor for Student Affairs and Associate Professor of Higher Education, who will come forward to present the Frist Awards.
For many of our faculty and staff, helping our students grow and achieve goes far beyond the boundaries of the classroom and the business of education. The Frist Student Service Award recognizes university employees who go above and beyond the call of duty to demonstrate their commitment to students. Dr. Thomas Frist, an Ole Miss alumnus from Nashville and founder of Hospital Corporation of America, established an endowment for the award in 1995, and it has become one of the most cherished honors we present annually in the 2 decades since. The cornerstone of Dr. Frist's success was his emphasis on service, whether as a physician, as a CEO, or as a volunteer. The endowment provides a monetary award each year to a faculty member and a staff member who have been selected for their exceptional service to students. Our faculty recipient this year is Dr. Carrie Scott, Instructional Associate Professor of Chemistry and Biochemistry and Associate Director of the university's Forensic Chemistry program. Dr. Scott, who joined the faculty in 1991, is a true model of student advocate and mentoring. She previously has been honored by the National Academic Advising Association with its Outstanding Advising Award, and our Office of Student Disability Services recognized her in 2014 with its Access Award in honor of her relentless support of students with disabilities. We received multiple nomination letters for Dr. Scott from students, alumni, faculty, and even from the dean of another school on campus, who observed that students feel comfortable interacting with her. And an alumnus who works for the Alabama Department of Forensic Sciences attributed much of her success to Dr. Scott's ongoing mentorship. The writer noted that she's even kept in touch with me in the years since I graduated and is still just as encouraging as when I was a stressed out undergraduate. Several students who submitted nominations for Dr. Scott have never actually taken a course under her, but know her for her kind words and willingness to help around Coulter Hall. One such student wrote that there was one point she found me crying over a quantitative analysis. That would make me cry too. And Dr. Scott found time to calm me down and give me a chemistry beaker mug to encourage me to keep moving forward. She helped me come up with an honors undergraduate research project and helped me with the data processing for my thesis. Another student noted, I have never had a class with her, yet she treats me and many other students as if we are an important part of her life. Please join me in honoring Dr. Carrie Scott. This year, we have the first ever tie for the staff recipient of the Frist Award. One of the chairs of the awards committee said that narrowing it down to just one staff recipient this year was nearly impossible because of the stellar praises expressed for each of the winners in the nomination letters. The first honoree is Leslie Banahan, Assistant Vice Chancellor for Student Affairs. This is extra special for me as I get to work with her every day. One of her colleagues noted that she always goes beyond the call of duty to serve students. Another nominator wrote that she always takes her calls, her door is always open, and she goes out of her way to make herself available to students who just need someone to talk to. She gives her students respect and friendship, one student wrote. She invites students into her home at Thanksgiving. She brings her dog to class, knowing that some students miss being away from family pets for the first time. Leslie is a prime example of a servant leader who, once she has identified a problem for students, she finds a solution and works to implement it. One big example of that is our Ole Miss Food Bank. When we discovered that a number of students could not afford basic food necessities, Leslie got a committee together, found an available space on campus, and helped set up and stock the food bank to ensure that all students can enjoy a meal. Several people who wrote nomination letters for Leslie's noted that her work for other causes on campus included bringing the Column Society to our campus and the Common Reading Experience. An ongoing theme through all of these letters is how Leslie has worked tirelessly to create new opportunities for students and make this a better campus for all. Please join me in recognizing Leslie Banahan. Our second staff recipient is Ryan Upshaw, Assistant Dean for Student Services in the School of Engineering. Ryan joined the university staff in 2007 and has served in the Office of Admissions in the Sally McDonald Barksdale Honors College before moving into his current position 5 years ago. Ryan has been honored as the university's outstanding staff member by the Black Student Union and as an outstanding NPHC chapter advisor by the Order of Omega and the Office of Fraternal Leadership and Learning. And he has been considered for this award for several years, drawing nominations from colleagues and students alike who praise his energy, his commitment, and total dedication to students. He serves as an advisor to our chapter of Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated, and the members praise his commitment to academic success, campus involvement, and service to the Brotherhood. One member wrote that he pushes us to perform both in and out of the classroom. His guidance has been paramount to our service as a chapter over the past few years. His commitment to students stretches all across campus. One of Ryan's most remarkable nomination letters was written by a student who's with us today, graduating not in engineering, but in public policy leadership. 3 years ago, this student suffered an aneurysm and was in a coma for several days. When he awoke, he was greeted by his parents, doctors, nurses, and Ryan Upshaw. Ryan visited him in the hospital several times, and when this young man was told that he may never walk again, Ryan told him, "It's going to be hard to get across the Grove if you aren't walking. I know you can do this." This student recalls that Ryan lit a fire within me that burns evermore. Because of Ryan, I will walk across the stage on May 12th to graduate from the University of Mississippi. Faculty and staff who put this much of their lives into our students are what makes this university such an amazing place. Please join me in recognizing once again Ryan Upshaw.
It is now my pleasure to introduce Dr. Josh Gladden, Interim Vice Chancellor for Research and Sponsored Programs and Associate Professor of Physics and Astronomy, for the presentation of the Distinguished Research and Creative Achievement Award.
Good morning. I'd like to add my words of welcome and congratulations to all of the graduates and their families. This is just a fantastic day. Thank you for being here. It is a great honor and a privilege to announce the 2018 recipient of the University of Mississippi's Distinguished Research and Creative Achievement Award. Before I announce the award, I would like to thank this year's new sponsor, Global Star. Global Star, which is based in Covington, Louisiana, is a leading provider of mobile satellite, voice, and data services. Their generosity in supporting today's award is just one example of the many contributions they have recently shared with the university. We're embarking on several exciting collaborations together, including an agreement to establish a second-generation ground station on our campus, which will give our students and faculty very unique learning and research experiences. Today's sponsorship is a reflection of Global Star's commitment to the university's research enterprise and educational mission. We're very fortunate to receive their support. I'd also like to take this opportunity to thank Pharmaceutics International Incorporated, who helped create the Distinguished Research and Creative Achievement Award and generously sponsored the award from 2008 to 2017. The Distinguished Research and Creative Achievement Award recognizes and pays tribute to a faculty member whose career and achievements have generated national and international accolades. Someone who has been a leader in their chosen field, who has inspired and encouraged others, who is admired and respected by their peers, and who has made outstanding lifelong contributions to their profession and to our institution. This year's award goes to Dr. Mark Slattery, Professor of Biomolecular Sciences, Research Professor in the Research Institute for Pharmaceutical Sciences, and Research Coordinator for the university's Environmental Toxicology Research Program. Dr. Slattery is an international leader in the fields of environmental ecology and marine biotechnology. While artfully balancing his teaching, research, and service responsibilities, he's contributed to many discoveries in his field, brought recognition to the university, and created fantastic opportunities for our students. His expertise in coral reef landscapes, and he has pursued drug discovery efforts with marine invertebrates, algae, and microbes. Much of his research has been focused on extreme environments, including deep reefs, marine caves, and polar ecosystems. His research has brought him all over the world, even to Antarctica, where he completed his dissertation work. Dr. Slattery's prolific research has been well received by both academic and popular audiences. He has authored or co-authored more than 100 peer-reviewed publications, has 2 patent applications, and a book in review. He has given close to 200 invited presentations, including presentations before the United Nations and the United States Senate. He was one of 10 faculty members selected to participate in the university's first TEDx conference, and he's been featured in many mainstream publications, even the In-Flight magazine at United Airlines, as well as National Wildlife and Scientific American. His extramural funding record is exceptional. He has received more than $30 million in funding from a broad range of federal agencies. In a letter of support, one faculty member stressed his strategic vision for maximizing resources, noting he used early funding to enhance the department's research infrastructure. The equipment he purchased made the department much more competitive and is still in use today. In addition to today's award, Dr. Slattery has been recognized with many honors, including President of the American Academy of Underwater Sciences, President of the Pan American Marine Biotechnology Association, the 2010 School of Pharmacy Researcher of the Year, member of a National Science Foundation site inspection team, and chief scientist on 4 NOAA research cruises. As a professor, Dr. Slattery has advised or served on committees for more than 27 PhD students, 25 master's students, and 8 honors college students. He's an inspired and innovative teacher, having even created a study abroad class in the Bahamas with funding received from NOAA. In their letters of support, Mark's colleagues and former students praised his teaching and mentoring abilities. One student noted that he is an accomplished and exceptional mentor and scholar and provided the perfect balance of encouragement and support while simultaneously challenging his students to push themselves to think outside of the box. A longtime collaborator praised his, quote, unfailing, pleasant personality, calm and focused demeanor, and dry sense of humor, and noted his exceptional ability to be patient, creative, and engaging. Please join me in congratulating Dr. Mark Slattery, the recipient of the university's 2018 Distinguished Research and Creative Achievement Award.
At this time, I invite Chancellor Vitter back to the lectern to present the Humanitarian Award.
Vice Chancellor Gladden, thank you for telling us about Dr. Slattery's fascinating work. Dr. Slattery, congratulations on your award. I appreciate your dedication to research and to your teaching and service commitments. Thank you for being an inspiration for all of us. I now have the distinct honor of presenting the University of Mississippi Humanitarian Award. The Humanitarian Award is presented very rarely, only in instances when the university celebrates the contributions of exceptional figures who have played an essential role in shaping the state of Mississippi. In fact, it's only been awarded 3 times previously: to Jim and Sally Barksdale in 2001, to Governor William Winter and his wife Elise in 2003, and to Myrlie Evers Williams in 2013. As you can see from this list, we have honored some truly remarkable individuals, and today we are pleased to confer the Mississippi Humanitarian Award to U.S. Senator Thad Cochran. We're all familiar with Senator Cochran's outstanding leadership. He joined Congress as a representative for Mississippi's 4th District in 1973 before becoming a senator 40 years ago in 1978. He was born in Pontotoc, and his family eventually moved to Hinds County. He attended Ole Miss as an undergraduate, majoring in psychology and minoring in political science, and was head cheerleader and a member of the Phi Kappa Phi Honor Society. After graduating, he served in the Navy, and he later returned to Ole Miss to earn his law degree. While senator, Cochran served in an impressive array of leadership roles in Congress. For many years, he was chairman of the Senate Appropriations Committee, a major distinction that reflects the high esteem of his colleagues. He's admired by his constituents and many people throughout our nation as a valued, wise, and temperate voice in Congress. He's often called a true statesman. His record of re-election is a testament to those strengths as a statesman. In fact, he's the 10th longest-serving U.S. Senator in United States history. And although he retired in April of this year, his legacy will continue to shape the state of Mississippi for many years to come. Senator Cochran has been a great champion of the University of Mississippi, and we can say without hesitation that he has been one of the key figures in moving Ole Miss from the small stage to the big time in terms of our research enterprise and the educational offerings that we provide. In the late 80s, he played a central role in securing federal support for the National Center for Natural Products Research, which now bears his name across the street. And thanks to those efforts, the university is now an international leader in natural products research. He's been a strong advocate for many other research programs on campus that address a wide range of national needs, especially in defense and agriculture. These programs have allowed us to become more competitive in securing research funding, and they have helped us earn the distinction of being a Carnegie R1 highest research activity institution, the highest ranking that a university can attain in the Carnegie classification. They've given our students countless educational opportunities. And finally, I'm very excited to announce that Senator Cochran has donated his congressional papers to the university's modern political archives. The papers document his many years of service representing Mississippi in the U.S. House and Senate. They will offer future researchers great insight into matters of local, state, and national significance. The university is very fortunate to receive such a wonderful, important gift. It's truly been an honor for me to get to know Senator Cochran while I've served as chancellor. He is a gentleman, a fantastic example of an Ole Miss graduate and all that it represents. one of our biggest champions. Now, while Senator Cochran was unfortunately not able to be here today, I hope you'll join me in a big round of applause celebrating his award. Thank you. I'll now turn things over to Guy Fortenberry Thornton, Senior Class President, who will give his remarks.
Thank you, Chancellor Vitter. Good morning, classmates, faculty, family, and friends. This past year, I've had the honor and privilege of serving as your class president. The main task assigned to my position this year has been designing and organizing our senior class gift. This year, my Vice President, Andrew Glaze, Treasurer Reed Patterson, and I decided to partner with Miss Ole Miss, Savannah Smith, and Mr. Ole Miss, Tucker Fox, in our fundraising task. We thought long and hard together about our class gift, and we finally came to the conclusion that we wanted to raise both awareness and funds for the William McGee Center for Wellness and Education. This decision took some time because we had several great fundraising ideas, but in the end, we decided we wanted to give something that was very relevant both to our class and our university. Over our 4 years here, we've seen many of our peers and fellow classmates struggle with both depression and substance abuse. We worked hard these past several months to try to spread the word about the McGee Center, not only to raise funds for it, but more so to spread awareness. After a huge social media push and a couple fundraising events, we raised over $27,000 for the William McGee Center. There will be a plaque dedicated to the class of 2018 in the center when it is finally finished. And there's no doubt in our minds that this program will benefit the University of Mississippi and its students for many, many years to come. I've witnessed over and over again the amazing things that our class is capable of doing when we come together. This makes me extremely optimistic to see what we all do as we leave here today on separate journeys. I know many of us are sad about this surreal experience, and none of us want to leave this great place that we've called home for the past 4 years. My dad always told me, you go to college to study and get your degrees and get out and go to work. While this may be true, and many of us will be going forward with the right preparation to enter the workforce, the University of Mississippi experience was far more than this. As you leave today, think back on all the great memories spent here and be thankful for the University of Mississippi and the people of Oxford. The wise words of Jimmy Buffett, singer and songwriter, once said, "Wrinkles will only go where the smiles have been." I know I'll have many of these wrinkles from all the good times and smiles I've had with all of you these past 4 years. Thanks to my class for a phenomenal 4 years. Hotty toddy, and God bless.
Thank you, Mr. Thornton. And seniors, thank you for your generosity. This is a gift that will benefit students long into the future. Mr. Bobby Bayless is president of the Ole Miss Alumni Association and is from Vicksburg, Mississippi. Please welcome Mr. Bayless.
Good morning. The first thing I thought we might ought to do is ask if it was appropriate that the Alumni Association be given the credit for this beautiful morning. I've been to several graduation ceremonies, and this is the first one I can remember that rain was not in the forecast or having just passed or raining it out. It is my privilege on behalf of the officers, directors, members, and most importantly, the staff of the Ole Miss Alumni Association to wish you a hearty welcome and a hearty greeting as the newest alumni of the University of Mississippi. To extend congratulations to all of you, your families, your friends, those that played such a great part in you achieving your goals. This day will forever be remembered by each of you, not because of something that I say or do, but it will be embedded in your mind for your own special reason. One of those forever moments. It is my hope that one of those special moments will be that in addition to you becoming an alumnus of the university, that you have the same special feeling that I have for this institution that we so lovingly call Ole Miss. It is my hope that in the days and years to come, that you will be an active supporter, that you will stay connected as an active member of our association, and that you will come back often. If you haven't already figured it out, you will soon know that being an alumnus of Ole Miss is being a forever member of the Ole Miss family, not just a place where you earned a degree. You will soon know that this place, which by the way is the most beautiful campus in the world, that this place is a spot that ever calls, where the trees lift high their branches to the whispering southern breeze. There, Ole Miss is calling, calling to our hearts' fond memories. As my friend and former law partner, Frank Everett, wrote, the university gives a diploma and regretfully terminates tenure, but one never graduates from Ole Miss. Welcome to the Ole Miss alumni family. Hotty toddy.
At the University of Mississippi, we have an impressive record of bringing internationally renowned figures to campus for our commencement addresses. And this year, we build even further on that tradition. Today, we have with us Walter Isaacson, a celebrated author, biographer, historian, journalist, and intellect. Walter is a fellow native of New Orleans. In fact, we both grew up in the Broadmoor neighborhood, and Walter's family home was across the street from both sets of my grandparents. He was student body president at Newman School in New Orleans, a school that has produced its share of notable Ole Miss rebels. Walter is a graduate of Harvard College, which we fondly call Ole Miss of the North. And he was a Rhodes Scholar at Oxford University, Pembroke College. He now teaches at Tulane University, and we're so pleased also that his wife, Kathy, could be with us here today. Mr. Isaacson began his career in journalism at the Sunday Times of London and then moved to the New Orleans Times-Picayune. He joined Time magazine in 1978 and held several positions before becoming the magazine's editor in 1996. In 2001, he became chairman and CEO of CNN. And from 2003 until last year, he served as president and CEO of the Aspen Institute. Mr. Isaacson is the author of several celebrated books, most of which have already been made into movies, but the books are a lot better. Those books include Steve Jobs an internationally best-selling biography of one of our era's most fascinating and complicated tech pioneers. The Innovators: How a Group of Hackers, Geniuses, and Geeks Created the Digital Revolution. Einstein: His Life and Universe. Benjamin Franklin: An American Life. And Kissinger: A Biography. Mr. Isaacson's most recent epic biography, Leonardo da Vinci, was published in October and has already been optioned for the big screen by Leonardo DiCaprio and Paramount Pictures. So we will have Leonardo playing Leonardo. His book offers new discoveries about da Vinci's life and work and finds fascinating connections between the polymath's artistic achievements on one hand and his scientific discoveries. In fact, you might find similarities between Leonardo da Vinci and two other subjects of Mr. Isaacson's works, Benjamin Franklin and Steve Jobs. All three men were highly creative, and they were passionate about the nexus of art, design, culture, science, and technology. And by embracing a broad spectrum of ideas, the very theme that we embrace here at the University of Mississippi in our flagship constellations, these individuals found profound connections that led them to make groundbreaking innovations. In a New York Times book review, Janet Maslin called Mr. Isaacson a kindred spirit to the visionaries and enthusiasts he has studied. It's that kind of spirit that can serve as a great role model for you graduates as you embark on the next phase of your lives. In addition to his writing, Mr. Isaacson has been involved in a wide range of activities benefiting the public good. He's Chair Emeritus for Teach for America, and following Hurricane Katrina, was Vice Chair of the Louisiana Recovery Authority. Mr. Isaacson is a member of the American Academy of Arts and Sciences, and he does serve on the board of several organizations currently, including United Airlines, Tulane University, the New Orleans City Planning Commission, the New Orleans Tricentennial Commission, Bloomberg Philanthropies, the Society of American Historians, the Carnegie Institution for Science, and My Brother's Keeper Alliance. He holds honorary degrees from an impressive collection of colleges and universities, including Tufts University, Cooper Union, Franklin College in Switzerland, the University of New Orleans, the University of South Carolina, City University of New York, Hunter College, Pomona College, Lehigh University, Washington College, and Duke University. Today is not the first time Mr. Isaacson has come to Ole Miss. He played a major role in the success of our university's inaugural CEO Tech Summit in August of 2 years ago, which is now an annual event. He engaged the audience with his fantastic storytelling abilities, and he encouraged us to embrace our personal and collective potential by imagining what we can do when we intersect the arts, sciences, humanities, and technology. Walter, we're truly lucky to have you back on campus and here for this momentous day. I'm eager to hear your advice to the class of 2018. Please join me in welcoming Walter Isaacson.
That was a very nice introduction. Thank you so much. Thank you very much, Chancellor. That was a very nice and probably undeserved introduction. But there's no better flattery than undeserved flattery, as you will find out. It's my high honor and my great privilege to welcome you, as of this moment, into the company of officially certified, educated women and men. You are hereby certified by this university as being very smart. That's the good news. The bad news is that you're about to find out that smart people are a dime a dozen. Here's what we forgot to tell you. That smart people often don't amount to much. What really matters is being imaginative, being creative, being innovative, and most important of all, just being good. So it's also my job today, in the mere 14 minutes I have, to confess all of the other things that we forgot to tell you while you were here. What we told you when you came here was that it was about your individual achievement. We told you you were going to get graded on how well you did individually, what you did when you were here. What we forgot to tell you is that when you get into the real world, it's about collaboration more than just individual achievement. It's about working collaboratively with others. Here at this university, we had another word for collaboration. We called it cheating. But in the real world, you will discover that innovation is a team sport and that creativity is a collective endeavor. All of the great inventions of the modern age were done collaboratively. With all due respect to Al Gore, we don't know who invented the internet, the microchip, or the computer. Why? Because they were done by teams. Teams of people who worked together, subsumed their own ego, and collaborated to make it happen. For example, when the internet was created 40 years ago, it was the Defense Department trying to connect the great research universities of this country in a web-based, packet-switched network. And all they asked the research universities to do was help figure out a way that they would connect into this packet-switched network. And so the research professors did what all research professors do when given a task like that. They delegated it to their graduate students. So a group of 30 graduate students started meeting together to figure out the rules and protocols for what would be the network and the internetworking that would produce today's digital revolution of peer-to-peer sharing. And because they did not want it to be one person, and they did not want it to be top-down, and they did not want it to sort of be in a bureaucratic way, they took the youngest of the graduate students, a guy named Steve Crocker, and told him, "You write up whatever we decide." And Crocker figured out that he did not want to call these things rules or regulations or protocols, because it would sound as if somebody was the boss and one person had made them. So he called them requests for comment. And it made it so that everybody involved in the early internet felt that they could be collaborators. They could be part of the team in creating the internet. That's pretty cool that that's how the internet started. The first RFCs, requests for comments, were things like, how do you put an address header on a packet, what to do if a packet doesn't arrive, how do you make sure they rejoin when they get to their destination. But what's amazingly cool to me is that's still how we're creating the internet. It's still how it's being invented. We're up to more than RFC 7900, and it is done in this team and collaborative way. Secondly, when you came to this university, what we told you was that there was a wonderful buffet of offerings. And we told you you should look at that buffet, but then you should pick a major. You should concentrate. You should specialize. What we forgot to tell you is that creativity comes from working across disciplines, from loving everything, as Leonardo da Vinci did, from art and anatomy to geology and zoology, and from understanding the patterns that cross the different disciplines of arts, sciences, humanities, social sciences, and engineering. Whenever Steve Jobs launched one of his products, he ended the presentation with a slide of street signs. And the street signs always showed the intersection of the liberal arts with technology, or the humanities with engineering. And he said, when you stand at those intersections, that's where creativity occurs. That's why he was able, when Microsoft invented the Zune, which none of you remember, which is a good piece of engineering, but so ugly it looked like it had been made in a basement in Uzbekistan. Steve Jobs made the iPod, which was a combination of art, design, beauty, and engineering. Because whatever they were preaching about knowing STEM subjects, Steve also knew the true essence of creativity, which is that beauty matters. We also said that you should come here and learn useful knowledge. As Guy said in his presentation, you'd get knowledge so you could go out and get a job. Utilitarian knowledge. That's important. Applied knowledge, learning things in order to get a job, useful knowledge, all important parts of an education. But what we forgot to tell you is that what makes life enriching and makes creativity possible is curiosity for its own sake. Passionate, driven, willful curiosity for its own sake. When Albert Einstein was growing up, his age 6 or so, his father gave him a compass. And Einstein recalls how he was just fascinated how the compass needle twitched and kept pointing north, even though nothing was touching the physical particles of the needle. He marveled at that, became obsessively curious about why that needle twitches. Now, I remember, and maybe you do, getting a compass when you were 6 years old. And we, oh, look, the needle, it point, and then we, oh, look, a dead squirrel, and we're on to something else. Until his deathbed, he remained curious about why that compass needle twitches and points north. And if I look at all of the people I've written about, the key trait is passionate curiosity for curiosity's own sake. As was mentioned earlier today, we woke up this morning, we came to this grove, and for once, on graduation day, there was a blue sky. It's good that we appreciated it. But Leonardo da Vinci in his notebooks, and Albert Einstein in his notebooks, 400 years apart, each wrote a simple question, which is, why is the sky blue? They wondered about that. Both did experiments. Both sprayed water, scattered molecules. They looked at the most mundane things, something we see almost every day, and just became purely and drivenly curious out of a glorious sense of wonder. That's what we forgot to tell you, too. That's what your education is about. It's always remaining like a student, staring at the cosmos and the creation into which we were blessed and graced to live, and having that childlike sense of wonder. We also told you that when you came here, it was important to stand on principle, to stand firm for what you believe. What we forgot to tell you is that collaboration and teamwork often require finding common ground. And that requires making compromises. You may notice that there are others who have forgotten that lesson, in our body politic today. It's up to your generation to remind them that that was the concept of democracy that our founders created for us. When Benjamin Franklin was at the Constitutional Convention, he was 80 years old, which back then was actually considered rather old. And he said to the other delegates when they were pulling each other apart on the big state, little state issue, he said, when we were young tradesmen here in Philadelphia, we had a joint of wood that didn't quite hold together. We'd have to take a little from one side and shave from the other side until we had a joint that would hold together for centuries. And so too we here at this Constitutional Convention must each part with some of our demands in order to have a constitution that will hold together for centuries. His point was that compromisers may not seem like great heroes, but they do make great democracies. And that requires a certain bit of humility. Which leads to something else we forgot to tell you. We taught you there were all sorts of virtues that you had to come out of the university with. Industry, honesty, frugality, learning. You make such a list. Franklin made a list when he was a kid of all the virtues. And he too had somebody who said to him, here, Franklin, is something we forgot to tell you. And Franklin says, what's that? And the friend says, maybe you ought to put another virtue on your list. Maybe you ought to put humility and try practicing that one for a change. It is very hard to go through a great university like this and remember that virtue of humility. In fact, Benjamin Franklin said that he was never very good at the virtue of humility. He said, I could never master that virtue. But here's what Franklin did. It's sort of a life hack. He said, but I became very good at the pretense of humility. I learned to fake it very well. And he came to his insight, which was, and I discovered that the pretense of humility was as useful as the reality of humility, because it made you listen to the person next to them. It made you try to find the common ground between what they thought and you thought. And that was the essence of the middle-class democracy we were trying to create. When you first arrived here, too, if you were observant, you probably noticed something. Very observant, you noticed it your first day. Some of you may have taken a week. But as you looked around your dining halls and dorm rooms and common rooms, you would have noticed that you were in the most diverse environment you'd ever been in your life. There were people of different races, different backgrounds, different religions, different socioeconomic classes, and different countries. And in some ways, you probably absorbed the fact that creativity comes from being exposed to such diversities of opinions and backgrounds. That's where great music like jazz, a great food, but also great ideas like relativity and quantum theory, and the great Renaissance that happens in Florence, the most diverse city in the world in the 1450s, all comes from different types of people with different ideas, thoughts, interests, working together. What we forgot to tell you is that today, if you don't watch out, may be the last day in which you're surrounded with so much diversity. In our nation, we have a bad tendency at times to self-sort, to go to our own ends of the talk radio dial or our own favorite places on cable TV or our own echo chambers in the blogosphere or even into our own gated communities or country clubs or whatever. What we forgot to tell you is that in the real world, you're going to have to make an effort to be inclusive. We told you this was a very exclusive place, and you got into more and more exclusive realms. What we forgot to tell you is that it's not about exclusivity in the real world. It's about inclusivity. It's about how many people you bring together. We also told you that it was time to grow up. And that, too, brings a lesson we forgot to tell you, which is, as with the blue sky, don't outgrow the wonder years that you had here. Albert Einstein, on his deathbed, wrote to a friend saying, you and I, we're going to die like everybody else, but we're never going to age because we never outgrow our wonder years. We never stop wondering why the sky is blue. Steve Jobs, when he graduated, or didn't graduate, I hate to say, but sort of left college, he kept one thing with him that was by his bed in 2011 when he died, in a chest of drawers, and he pulled it out. It was something that was published the year I graduated from college. It was the last edition of what was called the Whole Earth Catalog. And it was about a catalog that brought together everything from the humanities and poetry and hippiness to electronics and gadgets. And on the back of the very last Whole Earth Catalog, which always had on the front cover a photograph of the Earth to remind us of where we are and who we are, it was just a road, a country road like you'd find on the way to Tupelo or someplace, with a guy walking down the road, and it just had a simple phrase on it: stay hungry, stay foolish. And Steve Jobs said that was the most important lesson, not to grow up, but to stay hungry and stay foolish. And that very same year that we graduated in the 70s, the troubadour of our generation, Bob Dylan, wrote a song that became the anthem, for good and for bad, of our generation, which was, "May you stay forever young." I want to give you that benediction today, and I want you to do it right, with humility and do good, with wonder and curiosity at all times. May you stay forever young. And finally, what we told you and what a lot of graduation speakers at this very hour are telling students around the country is to follow your passion. I'm here to tell you it's not about your little passion. Get over it. It's about connecting your passion to something larger than yourself. When I graduated, I don't even remember who my graduation speaker was, and maybe you won't remember who yours was, but I remember the Reverend Peter Gomes at the church at my university and his last sermon. And afterwards, a student in my class came up to him, and the Reverend Gomes said, "What do you want to be now that you're leaving college?" And the person said, "I really do want to be successful. I really want to be powerful." And Peter Gomes said, "Aim higher." He said, "This university has produced a lot of successful people, a lot of powerful people, even a few presidents. But it hasn't produced quite as many good people. You got to aim higher. You got to remember that in the end, you're going to judge yourself just like you'll be judged by your maker and your fellow citizens by the good you did." When Steve Jobs was dying in 2011, I asked him about that. I said, "What was it all about, this journey?" He used to say, "The journey is the reward." But he said, "I've learned that the journey is like a river, and you get to take wonderful things out of that river. If you're lucky, if you're successful, if you've done great work, you get to pull ideas that people have put in the river. You get to pull products that people built boats. You get to pull them out of the river, or airplanes, but also wonderful concepts like transistors and microchips. And you get to benefit from all those things in the river if you lead a successful life." He said, "But now I realize it's not about how much you get to take out of the river. It's about which you get to put into the river. What people 50 years from now will say, that's pretty interesting, that's pretty cool. I wonder who put that into the river. During his lifetime, Benjamin Franklin donated to the building fund of each and every church that was built in Philadelphia. And at one point, they were building a new hall to the left of Independence Hall. It's still called the New Hall. He wrote the fundraising document. And it began by saying, even if the Mufti of Constantinople were to send somebody here to preach Islam to us and to teach us about the Prophet Muhammad, we should offer a pulpit, we should listen, for we might learn something. And on his deathbed, he was the largest individual contributor to the Mikveh Israel Synagogue, the first synagogue built in Philadelphia. So when he died, instead of his minister accompanying his casket to the grave, all 35 ministers, preachers, and priests of Philadelphia linked arms with the rabbi of the Jews and marched with him to the grave. That's what they were fighting for back then when they created this amazing nation. That was the creed that they bequeathed to us. And that is what we're still fighting for, both around the world and even here at home today. So God bless you, God bless Ole Miss, and God bless America. Thank you.
Mr. Isaacson, thank you so much for your wonderful perspectives and the wonderful advice that you've given to our graduates. We will now confer degrees on all candidates for graduation. All candidates will be presented with their diplomas in individual school ceremonies later this morning and this afternoon. Before we proceed, I would like to note that today's ceremony includes many scholars who have taken varied paths, from undergraduate to graduate students. But a group among you attended the fall convocation 4 years ago, where you were given a coin. At that time, it was given to you because it symbolized the beginning of your academic journey at this university. We hope it has been a time of excitement, enlightenment, and challenge. At that convocation in the fall of 2014, you were asked to be mindful of the moment you shared with those seated around you, hearing the same message as you all embarked on this path together. And now, 4 years later, many of you have completed the bookends of this academic journey. We hope that you will treasure this coin and everything that it symbolizes. May it serve as a special reminder of your time here at the University of Mississippi. We thank you for being part of this family. We would now like to recognize the candidates for degrees by school or college. I will introduce each dean, who will then come forward and present the graduates of the school or college. At this time, I recognize Dr. Lee Cohen, Dean of the College of Liberal Arts and Professor of Psychology. Dean Cohen, please come forward.
Provost Wilkin, I'm pleased to present the candidates for bachelor's degrees in the College of Liberal Arts. Will the candidates please stand and remain standing?
Professor Susan Duncan, Dean of the School of Law and Professor of Law.
Provost Wilkin, I am pleased to present the candidates for the degree of Juris Doctor. Will the candidates please stand and remain standing?
Dr. Alex Chang, Dean of the School of Engineering and Professor of Civil Engineering.
Provost Wilkins, it's my great pleasure to present to you candidate for degree in the School of Engineering. Would you please stand and remain standing?
Dr. David Rock, Dean of the School of Education and Professor of Curriculum and Instruction.
Provost Wilkin, I am pleased to present the candidates for degrees in the School of Education. Candidates, will you please stand and remain standing?
Dr. David Allen, Dean of the School of Pharmacy and Professor of Pharmacology.
Provost Wilkin, I am pleased to present the candidates for degrees in the School of Pharmacy, including those candidates receiving the Doctor of Pharmacy degree. Will the candidates please rise and remain standing?
Dr. Ken Syree, Dean of the School of Business Administration and Professor of Finance.
Provost Wilkin, I am pleased to present the candidates for degrees in the School of Business Administration. Will the candidates please rise and remain standing?
The Doctor of Philosophy, Doctor of Education, Doctor of Arts, Specialist, and Master's degrees are awarded by the Graduate School. And at this time, I'll ask Dr. Christy Wyant, Interim Dean of the Graduate School and Professor of Pharmaceutics and Research Professor in the Research Institute of Pharmaceutical Sciences, to come forward.
Provost Wilkin, I am pleased to present the candidates for degrees in the Graduate School. Will the candidates please stand and remain standing?
Dr. Mark Wilder, Dean of the Patterson School of Accountancy, Professor of Accountancy, and KPMG Chair of Accountancy.
Provost Wilkin, I am pleased to present the candidates for degrees from the Patterson School of Accountancy. Will the candidates please stand and remain standing?
Dr. Teresa Carithers, Interim Dean of the School of Applied Sciences and Professor of Nutrition and Hospitality Management.
Provost Wilkin, I am pleased to present the candidates for degrees in the School of Applied Sciences. Will the candidates please stand and remain standing?
Dr. Will Norton, Dean of the Meek School of Journalism and New Media and Professor of Journalism and New Media.
Provost Wilkin, it's my privilege to present to you the candidates for degrees in the Meek School of Journalism and New Media. Will the candidates please stand and remain standing?
Dr. Tony Amater, Associate Provost, Dean of General Studies, and Associate Professor of Management and Management Information Systems.
Provost Wilkin, I am pleased to present the students for the candidates for the Bachelor of General Studies degree. Will the candidates please stand and remain standing?
Chancellor Vitter, I have the honor to present these candidates who have been recommended by their respective deans and approved by the university faculty for the various degrees.
By the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees of the State Institutions of Higher Learning, the university faculty recommending, I now confer upon each of you the degree to which you are entitled, and with all the rights, privileges, immunities, and responsibilities appertaining hereto. Congratulations to all of you. You may all now be seated. Across the world, these ceremonies are referred to as graduation or commencement, and today you complete your work as students at the university. You graduate. You also enter and begin the next chapter in your lives. You commence. Our collective prayer for each of you is a life filled with joy, good health, successful, meaningful careers, humility, curiosity, and peace. God bless each of you. Thank you.
Details of the afternoon ceremonies are in the program you received this morning. We ask that you keep your copy of the program for the afternoon ceremonies. Graduation exercises for the University of Mississippi Medical Center will be held at 10 a.m. on Friday, May 24th in the Mississippi Coliseum. For your convenience, several dining options across campus will be open this afternoon. Ms. Jocelyn Mackenzie Sanabria, who will receive the Bachelor of Music in ceremonies today, will lead us in singing the alma mater. The words are printed in the back of your program. In keeping with the setting of today's ceremony, there will be no formal recessional. Please come forward and lead us, Mrs. Sanabria.
Way down south in Mississippi, there's a spot that ever calls, where among the hills enfolded stand old alma mater's halls, where the trees lift high their branches to the whispering southern breeze. There, old Miss is calling, calling to our hearts fond memories.
Once again, congratulations to all the graduates. Thank you for coming this morning. We are adjourned and look forward to seeing you at the individual ceremonies this afternoon.